All right, folks, we've got some significant developments in the Alex Murdaugh saga, the Murdaugh murders, crime, and corruption saga that has gripped the country as we head toward a trial date in January of next year on the double homicide that Murdaugh stands accused of committing. Multiple sources are confirming to this news outlet that a plea agreement was offered to Alex Murdaugh shortly before Thanksgiving by the lead prosecutor in the office of South Carolina Attorney General Alan Wilson. That deal, allegedly extended by Creighton Waters to Murdaugh's attorneys Dick Harpootlian and Jim Griffin, 30 years. 30 years, which would cover the double homicide of which Murdaugh stands accused of committing, the murders of his wife Maggie Murdaugh and younger son Paul Murdaugh, would have covered the weapons charges tied to that homicide, would have covered the 90 financial crimes that Murdaugh is currently staring down related to alleged theft of more than $9 million from former clients of his law firm, would have covered all that. Similarly, it would have covered roadside shooting charges from last Labor Day. Remember this bizarre incident in which Murdaugh allegedly hired his check casher and drug supplier, Curtis Eddie Smith, to shoot him in the head so that a $10 million insurance policy could accrue to the benefit of his surviving son, Buster Murdaugh. Murdaugh facing a number of charges in connection with that incident. Those would have been covered by the plea deal as well, the purported plea deal. And last but not least, Murdaugh would have apparently been absolved of any culpability related to obstruction of justice allegations, which have been investigated by the statewide grand jury in Columbia, South Carolina, connected to a February 2019 boat crash involving his late son, Paul Murdaugh. So basically, all the charges Murdaugh is facing in all of the investigations being led by the state would have been covered under this plea agreement. Now, the Office of Attorney General Alan Wilson has not confirmed that it extended the deal. And in fact, the Attorney General's spokesman, Robert Kittle, told me this evening that no formal agreement has been extended to Alex Murdaugh. Now, obviously, this was not a formal agreement. My sources say that the offer was made via a face-to-face meeting with Murdaugh's attorneys as well as a phone conversation with those attorneys. It is not immediately clear whether that agreement was reduced to writing. However, I have been told that there are emails between Murdaugh's attorneys and the Attorney General's office which reference the deal. Again, 30 years on all of the charges offered just before Thanksgiving. Now, what was the response? What did Murdaugh's attorneys have to say about this deal? Well, folks, we got that response. The day before Thanksgiving, Murdaugh's attorneys dropped a 96-page motion poking what appear to be the most significant holes yet in the prosecution's double homicide case. Those holes directly relate to a key piece of evidence, a shirt which was initially determined not to implicate Murdaugh in this crime, in the double homicide, but which later, after Murdaugh's attorneys claimed that an expert was bullied or intimidated into changing his story, did implicate Murdaugh. So this story has been driving the narrative in this case through the Thanksgiving break and since we came out of the Thanksgiving break this week, and clearly a sign from Murdaugh's defense team that they are not interested in the plea deal which was purportedly offered to them by the South Carolina Attorney General's office. Again, count on FITSNews to keep you up to speed on the very latest regarding these major developments in the Murdaugh murders, crime, and corruption saga.